Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the On Deck podcast. This is episode 37. I'm your host, Roberto, and today I have a special guest joining me, a former teammate of mine when we joined the then Duville Spartans back in the same time at 2019 to 2020 season. Fortunately, that season ended due to COVID-19 starting, but this player had stuck around and managed to play 44 games, collecting over 21 hits and 4 years. Welcome to the podcast, my seventh floor neighbor, Mateo Santos.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure,
Seventh floor,
man.
I love it.
How's how's it been? I know we talked a couple years ago about, you being done with baseball. Do you miss it at all?
I do miss it a lot. I actually do currently coach softball and baseball at a facility in Hamburg, New York. I should talk to somebody about potentially doing fast pitch softball this upcoming summer. So I do miss it a lot. I want to get back involved in playing, not just coaching it, but it is. I'm itching to get back on the field for absolutely for sure.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I was kind of curious about because, there has been times where like unfortunately had to take some time off and I'm like, man, I just don't know what life would be like without baseball.
I'm watching a ton of baseball. I'm watching a ton of softball right now too, and it's just like it's the urge to get back on the field and just to have a glove on my hand is really just kind of the what I'm itching for. So yeah, it's tough to not be back on that field, but do what we can as old guys to to live our youth.
I'm not gonna lie, there has been a couple of times where I've watched some like American like college softball and it is pretty electric. I'm
It's
not gonna
intense.
lie.
It's intense. It's intense. The energy is I think the energy is unmatchable in some games that I've watched recently, but it's yeah, it goes crazy.
Yeah, man. But jumping right into things, I only have a couple of siblings and with those siblings being involved, were you the first one to really jump into playing baseball or did, one of your older siblings hop in and you kind of just followed that path?
Yeah, it my older brother, he was probably our first one to play baseball. He had a really random one season stint at soccer and hated it. So my parents never brought us into the soccer world, luckily. Nothing against soccer, I don't like cardio. Um, but I was probably the first to really take it to the next step. I was the first out of my three other brothers who played collegiate. My brother below me played collegiate, and then my youngest brother, he's still in sophomore in high school, grade 10, I think for you guys in
Yeah,
Canada up
grade
there.
10,
But
grade 10.
um, but but yeah, I primarily baseball was our main sport, and then we got a lot into American football, um, which kind of like led the way to kind of like just having like a good athletic background as well too. It prepared us a lot for baseball. So primarily baseball. I tell my grandfather all the time, if I never played baseball, I would play tennis for you. But we stuck to baseball, and I'm forever grateful for sticking around to that.
Yeah, I was surprised like when I was down there talking to like a bunch of the guys, a lot of them had played either football or basketball and here that's not really something that's heard of, obviously, because American football isn't as popular here. It's more
Mhm,
of, you have your baseball guys and there's hockey, and those kind of two go hand in hand.
mhm.
But it was pretty interesting to see like how many guys actually played football, and you kind of even see it at the collegiate level. You hear a lot of two-way guys that were both football and baseball in high
Yep,
school.
yep. I I think at Syracuse there might be or one of these schools. I forgot which one it was. It's an orange school or something. This guy who does basketball, football, and lacrosse or something. And I'm just like, you know, three sport athlete at the D1 level. It's
Kudos to that guy.
kudos. I mean,
Holy.
I want a rest break, but you know what? Hey, if people out there do that, but definitely being multi-sport athlete, kind of stuff like that. Like, that's humongous. I think for our development
Yeah,
as
exactly. I
athletes.
think
So
that's even something that my parents did is like we started with soccer, but it was always like in elementary school and high school, play as many sports as you can.
Yeah.
And that kind of just helps you develop athletically
Hmm.
throughout all sports, which
100%.
can never go wrong with that.
Can never.
But when we played together, you were catcher, first baseman. If you were to go back in time, would you still be those same positions?
Yes.
Really?
Probably not catcher. Or sorry, excuse me, probably not first base. I would with catcher. I I think that's why I love the sport so much is because the amount of leadership you need to have, the amount of game awareness is something that is unteachable for any other position, in my opinion. In another life, I would have loved to pitch. Would have loved to pitch. I would have just loved to just have like a, pulse skiing 101 mile an hour fastball painted on the outside corner. But quite frankly, I think I it's either going to be pitching or catching, and I would probably still prefer to be a catcher.
Honestly, if I was to do it over, I'd probably be catcher too. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, the leadership, like just the things that you develop, I feel like you develop your sense of baseball a lot quicker as a catcher, understanding the game and how it's played. And, there's always kind of that strategy, the cat and mouse game between, it's essentially the pitcher and the hitter, but the catcher also has an influence on those decisions as well.
100%. And like I feel like it's a negative thing in our sport where it's like the coaches are starting to call these games, and I'm like, just you're taking out of the true relationship with that pitcher catcher, where it's kind of
Yeah,
like
exactly.
because it's like the command center starts that behind the plate. He calls the pitch, you know, agreement from both parties, and execution is what happens. So I feel like those two are just like what obviously the most important positions on the field. You have to pitch the ball, you have to catch the ball. But yeah, I don't. I think in another life, I'd still be a catcher no
You
matter
still
what.
be a
Yeah,
catcher.
yeah. So except for my knees, my other than like the knee pain sometimes.
That's the only negative. That's the
Only
only
negative, only negative. The left knee is a little bit. He screams at me sometimes, but it's all right. It's all right.
It's fine. It
Yeah, it's
comes with it.
fine.
So, Duville University, formerly known as Duville College when I was there, was a D3 program, and then, as the years progressed, it eventually came a D2. How was the culture shift along those years, from when we first got there to, when you graduated and it was fully a D2 program?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if you would have stayed, you would have seen it because I mean we were involved like that recruitment class that we were both in, um, is what set that precedent, set that like, yeah, we're even if we stayed D3, I think I still believe to this day like our core eight, I think we had eight in our class that were like truly stuck. Um, like that was the beginning of the changing of our program where obviously you go through the website, you look at the records, and you're like, crap, this team is horrendous. Now, obviously, respect to all those players before us, but it's like, losing record, losing record, losing record. And I think that we just decided we're like that's it with that. So fast forward into when I left, around 2023, I believe. Um, we're starting to get those more wins. We're starting to get that culture built. And then the minute that like even for like a win standpoint, the minute my group left, they were co-champions of the regular season the next season, right? It's you just see that development of like these guys and the guys I played with who are just like we're not doing the same thing every year. We don't want to get, you know, talked about as, a laughing stock because our first year D2, I mean, we lost every single game except for like two games. But it's like we wanted to change that very early on. We didn't want to repeat history. So you could easily see that culture just become different, right? Where guys wanted to show up 6 in the morning, didn't care if they had to drive half an hour to Lockport, New York, at the dusk of the darkness of night. But I think after our first year, we had guys who were truly committed to change this program. So it changed for a very positive manner, and I loved it.
Yeah, the couple games that I came down there, even for you guys' grad night,
Yep.
like
Hmm.
the change from what it was when we were there to, how it ended, I was like, it's like it was night and day.
Night
Night
and day.
and day,
Yep.
the
100%.
quality of players, the quality of play, and like just the overall energy, like from you guys, talking in the dugout to just the overall energy, it was like you can tell that
Completely.
this was, the stock was climbing definitely for the program. And
Yep.
as a former player of program or even somewhere that stuck out the 4 years, like I bet that was amazing to see.
It was because it just like it makes you like look back in time and be like, we did that. It's kind of like obviously I don't want to live in the good old days, but it's like at least you kind of just like, you watch this team play now, and it's like, you see their successes, and I don't want to sound selfish, but it's like, there's a little hint of like, our group that was just like if we weren't there, what would this program be looking like now?
Yeah.
Like what would there be any change? Would there be, because when we made that jump, it was just like, why are we doing this? And now you're seeing, yes, this is why we're doing this, is because we can get to that level, but we just needed that extra, like, that maybe that division push up where it's like, yeah, now you're D2. Now it's the real, it's real. It was a real deal beforehand, but now it's like you got even more insane competition you have to face. So, it definitely just set a precedent of let's change. So I loved it.
Yeah, can I agree with that? Even just watching it, it was like,
Yeah.
man, this is like cool to just be. I don't know, I didn't stay there for when it transitioned, but to say like, it was cool that I got to see part of it happen.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
But because, moving up from D3 to D2 is quite a jump for some people. Did you ever have a welcome to D2 moment that either you or the team had?
Um, yeah, that the first season D2, we lost every single D2 game. You ever see like that Instagram page that talks about like records and losing streaks?
Yeah.
We made that.
Oh, Rick.
Yeah, so we lost 21 straight games, which were all of our Division 2 games. Actually, I think we might have no, because we played two games, or sorry, two series against D3 teams. We split with both of them, and then we lost all the straight. So we were on a humongous skid, and it was, and obviously, there's access to all these schedules and all this stuff, and these games weren't close, Bob. They weren't close. They were all, uh 3-12, 16-0. Like these were bad games. And I have a buddy, he played for Mercy College at the time, but Mercy University now. Um, and he came up to play us because we didn't have a field at that time, because we were at the Northtown Center, and then
Yeah, I
got all
remember.
destroyed and all that. So we're playing down in Gowanda because we had some of our coaches had ties there, and they had a pretty nice turf field. So we went down there, and they killed us the entire series. And after, I go, Gib, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? And he's like, just stay at the course. Stay at the course. You guys will be good. And which is what we did. So it's like, initially it was a very tough, I even as a hitter, even as like a player on that team, I knew the competition was going to be a whole lot different. And I told myself that time after time. And, when I, hit below 200, you know, it puts a little damper on my day,
Yeah.
but granted, I mean, that was the welcome to D2. Here's former D1 guys throwing 90 at your face. Have fun. And it's like, all right, we battled through it and we persevered. But yeah, that 100% was the welcome.
That's a welcome to D2 year,
Yeah.
essentially.
So it was tough, but
Hey, you got through it.
we did. We did.
And over the span of your college career, I'm sure you've learned many lessons, whether that be, learning how to do stuff in the field or, doing stuff in the classroom. But what's something that people that have never experienced college baseball before, what would they not understand looking from the outside in?
It's a good question. It might just be like a cliche, like obviously, but like that brotherhood, that camaraderie, you learn how to be a leader, whether it's, you're a captain of your team or whether it's like, the head on your pitching staff or, you know, whether you don't have any playing time, but you still show up, you still give your 100%. It kind of just like it tells you how to like persevere. It tells you how to kind of like tells you how to grow up, quite honestly. It's college baseball is college sports in general, or even sports in general, it teaches you how to be like, an adult, kind of just like what you need to do to improve not only yourself but those around you. Because if you are a locker room headache, where you're mad that you're not getting the playing time, you don't come with the energy, you don't come just to be, you know, a member of this team. It kind of like reflects on that later in life where it's just like if you don't get your way, how do you bounce back? How do you kind of like move forward? So, but especially just like, brotherhood, just understanding like there's guys out there who got your back no matter where you are, who you like, where life has taken you. It's the guys you played with for 4 years, whether they were there for a year with you, whether they're for all 4 years with you, like that they got your back no matter what you got there. So it, it's it taught me a lot, as a healthcare practitioner now. It kind of like shows me how to not only be a leader on the field, but how to be a leader in the clinic I'm in. Kind of just like even just like society, you know, if you need someone just to like talk to, I'm always somebody that I love to just be like I have open ears, just if you have anything you need to tell me, just tell me. It's just something like that. So I do think that, you know, just it's taught me how to live life, you know.
Yeah, I think even it's as cliche as it sounds, I can completely agree because
Yeah.
you find people, especially at the collegiate level, from everywhere, all walks of life, and you come together to play a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I- the brotherhood, it just grows off of, enjoying the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't, yeah, like you said, from 1 year to 4 years, like it doesn't matter how long you're there. I feel
Yep.
like you're going to interact with everybody at some point. So being able to create that bond, it matters.
It matters. Yeah.
So, moving on to, more of a baseball sided question, whether that be, in practice or in a squad, because we've, we know in the collegiate level, there's a ton of those. Who was the toughest teammate that you have faced?
Can I also say scariest?
The floor is yours.
Okay. Scariest, and Bob, I love you very much, man. When I had to either hit or catch you, sometimes I think that first year just a little bit of jitters. Sometimes I did not know where that ball was going. And I was terrified as a catcher, I just was just like, man down, here we go. Where's Bob throwing this? But other than maybe scary, and trust me, there's been much more scary people. But toughest has probably been as a hitter to a pitcher standpoint, guys like, you know, our big lefties, our Chris Auclairs, our, some of our heavy hitters who just paint, they paint the corners. My first at bat against Chris Auclair was a inter squad at the end of our fall season, where I get up to bat straight from class because I was running because I just started PT school and I was had to get there. Um, I show up, he's on the mound, and he just throws me a fastball in. Didn't swing it because I don't want to touch that. Then he just breaks two curveballs outside corner, and just I look like a fool. And I'm like, hey, you know what? All right, we'll go from
You,
there.
you can
We'll
have
go
that one.
we'll go from there. And then honestly, anytime. I don't know if you ever met Sam Worthen.
I have actually.
He facing him as a hitter is very difficult because you never know what angle he as a catcher. You know what you're getting. You're like you guys just click because it's just easy because he never misses. He's like one of the most consistent pitchers I've ever caught for. As a hitter, he can go here, and then like the velocity isn't crazy, but like the spin you see from these two different spots, unbelievable. which is why his last year he's reliever of the year. I'm pretty sure, or something like that, where guy threw like a 1.7 ERA, and
Yeah.
he doesn't have an elbow. The elbow's just not there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember, was it you or Kyle I was talking to when during grad night, and I was like, yeah, the guy has something in his elbow, and I'm like, okay, somehow he's making it
he
work, and he's nasty.
he he was so funny because he would have a lineup of Tiger Bomb, Icy Hot, like this whole list, ibuprofen. Like our athletic trainer basically built him an elbow. Like the way she taped his elbow was just like this
Wow.
unbelievable, just like it couldn't fully extend, or maybe it could fully extend, but crazy. Like she had to build them an elbow. So it's like, but facing him as a hitter though,
That's
you would
crazy.
never know he didn't have an elbow. But yeah, probably those two guys were definitely two of the, and I played with those two for 2 3 years. So at least I got a lot of experience with them as a pitcher hitter duo. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, watching Chris Auclair, only the one start on grad night, but I was watching, I was like, this is a very
Yeah, he
uncomfortable at bat.
oh,
Like just
and
watching it from the stands, I was like, you know what? Thankfully, I'm not hitting.
and that's as a righty too. I couldn't imagine if I was a lefty facing
Oh,
him
it'd
because
be
he was a
even
lefty.
worse.
He's 6'3", slings it from here, and it's just like you just never. It's the again the spin with him was just something you just couldn't pick up. It was very tough to pick it up. So
Yeah, it's always the lefties. It's always the weird lefties.
always were lefties.
We're gonna wrap it up here with, a fun question. You being a Red Sox fan, and it's always been well known. You're pretty sure you're exactly. Your PlayStation icon is a Red Sox. What how do you feel about the team this year and with some of the additions? How do you think this season is gonna go?
I'm I'm ecstatic, if I can say the least. I'm actually going down to Fort Myers to watch them play a spring training game
Oh,
in the end of
nice.
March. Because I have never been more excited than I am now. This team has at least given me hope. Now, obviously, giving me hope. I'll talk to you again at the
We'll
All
we'll
Star
we'll,
break, and
we'll
we'll
reconvene a little later.
reconvene because I'm happy with our additions. I think Sonny Gray's going to be great for probably the year. I think his contract still is preposterous, but that's one different side of the story. I think Wilson Contreras is going to be good. I like that switch. I am afraid of if they're going to trade either a Jaron Duran or a Willie Abreu, which I think they need to, but I also don't think that that is what we need right now. Um, I think the Caleb Durbin trade was needed. However, I everything with the Devers situation, I hated every single moment of it. When I saw they traded Kyle Harrison, I was like that's literally because I think I might have been with you when Mookie got traded.
Yeah, you
Did you? Because that I think that was the Sabres game we went to that day,
yeah, it was. It was a very
and
depressing day.
yeah, and I in that meme of I just saw a guy fall to his knees in Walmart. That was me just in the parking lot of the Sabres game, and so reliving that Mookie trade basically did hurt my heart a little bit, but at least at this point we have 7 starters
Yeah,
who are ready to go. Two young, Connolly early, and I think in Peyton Tolley are just awesome to watch. We have a ton of lefty duos. Ranger Suarez is going to be great. Um, and I'm very excited. But however, though, the AL East is deep. For with you guys, the
it is a
Yankees, the
very
Orioles, it's a
loaded
loaded
division.
division. So there's 4 teams that can make the playoffs, and only 2 can do it. So we'll or 3 can do it. But still,
Yeah, no,
you
I'm
know.
honestly I'm kind of excited to see how Sonny Gray pitches, especially against the Yankees with everything
Yeah.
that he said about them too. I was like, this
Yeah.
is gonna either be really good or really bad.
He just needs to stay healthy. He needs to stay healthy. I need another healthy Crochet year. Um,
He's absolutely disgusting.
he's I took him last year to have the most strikeouts, and I forgot what happened with Scooble, but I all of a sudden I just felt like a sigh of relief. I'm like, All right, it's gonna hit.
He's gonna get
He's
it.
gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Not Cy Young. I don't need Cy Young.
You
I
just
just
want
needed, I
strikeout.
just want to strikeouts. That's all I cared about. And I hope to see him pitch this year at least once or twice. I saw him pitch last year against the Yankees where he shoved 7 innings of
Every time
one
against the
earned,
Yankees, he
and it
shoves.
was and it was a stupid Stanton little fly ball to the right side that just fell. And I was like, but we killed in that game. It was like that was the game where I think Paul Blackburn gave up like 40
Oh
runs,
yeah.
and it was awesome. I love that game. My whole family's Yankees fans, so they were all terrified. They were all sad on the car ride
And
home.
you're
I tried
here.
to talk about the game. My little brother below me is like, Teo, shut the up. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. I don't want to cross the line, but we did just
You're
smoke you. So
jumping for joy.
yep, yep.
I gotta ask, I know we didn't talk about this before, but how do you think, what are your thoughts on Bregman leaving?
I I think it's Breslow's fault. Quite frankly, I think everything was in the works to get him back, and I really I wanted him back, not only as a player but as a leader. You like in the past we've had guys like Justin Turner, Bregman, these older guys who you know have that experience, have that knowledge, and I wouldn't necessarily say we have anybody right now for that mindset. I wish it would have been done differently. I wish, you know, obviously, I didn't think the Cubs were going to do a single move because all the podcasts I listen to, all of the news I read, I'm like, he's not moving there. There's no way. But I did understand what he wanted. He wants to settle down, and I was like, please make it happen. And obviously, it didn't make it happen.
Happened.
And I'm
I
not
think,
shocked it didn't happen, but
yeah, I can't remember reading, I think it came down to, was it the no, it was like the no trade clause
yeah,
that he
yeah, they
wanted.
didn't want to know. Like he probably would have accepted the money because what it was like 10 mil less or something. Oh, I forgot what it
Yeah,
was.
I
I
forget
think
what
the
it was, but I think
yeah,
that was the number. But yeah, all because of a no trade clause. And I don't know, for me, like you traded away Devers because you wanted this guy at third base,
yep,
and you don't give him what he wants for him to
yeah,
stay, and it was a no trade clause. And
yeah,
I don't know, to me the Red Sox seem like they're going to be competitive,
100%,
at
100%,
least the length of his contract.
yeah, 100%. And and that's the biggest thing where I'm just like, we have a ton of guys who are still in their arb years. They're still, we have a ton of control with them. Like we have we have Abreu for 4 more years controlled wise, and we have guys like Duran who are two, and Rafaela who's might want to stay forever. We have guys who like that who will stick around, and I'm just like it always just shakes my head, just about like what happens with these meetings behind closed doors where it's just like
Exactly.
it's like how do we go from we want you staying here for the rest of your career, well, actually retire here too. We don't want to give you no trade clause. That's all we need from you. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't like it. But at least at this point, we did get like again, obviously we had to trade Cal Harrison for him, but like a Caleb Durbin now who what was he in NL Rookie of the Year votes
I think
last
it
year? Like
was
third,
second or
second,
third.
third.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not mad about that. We have a ton of control with him now. Um, I would have liked to seen Jordan Hickson go. That's fine. That was an okay. Have him Chicago have fun or have White Sox, but I would have liked to have seen at least another 2 years out of Cal Harrison. But at
Yeah,
least
that was honestly the surprising thing for me is that they immediately just sent him to AAA.
just kind
It's
of
like
yeah,
he could have given, some kind of value in the majors,
yeah,
but they were just like, nope, straight to AAA and kick rocks
yeah.
essentially.
I mean, even the flip side of like a Connolly early or like that Peyton Tolley call up, that's fine. But I'm like, and obviously they pitch great, but if we just had that extra, another lefty in the bullpen, that would have been fantastic. Because now our bullpen is pretty set. But I also could have felt like it would have been very well rounded with at least three lefties in the bullpen. But
Yeah.
but
Chapman,
Chapman, Whitlock, and Justin Slayton.
Justin Slayton came out of nowhere and it just, it kind of
Oh,
makes
I
me
loved
angry.
him when he
Kind
got
of makes
healthy
me
again.
angry.
I was like, thank you for getting healthy. Thank you for because he's when he's healthy, he's nasty. He is
Yeah, he's gross.
gross, dude. He's
And
gross.
the same with Chapman, but
Yep. Yep.
that's a whole other head
Whole
case.
different. Yep. You know it.
It's like yeah, he's throwing strikes because he's just not caring about location
Nope.
anymore.
And now he's located in my 30 what 38-year-old reliever of the year
Yeah.
candidate.
What?
Come on now. Come on now.
He-
I love
oh
it.
my goodness. Yeah, I
You
Yankees
ever see
did
those
post him
like
up a
those?
little bit, but
Yeah, that's fair.
just a little.
Oh, wait, that's right. You're a Yankees guy. Oh, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Oh, that's on me. Not giving them that. I always first like think about because Nasher is
It was me and Josh just sitting watching
yeah,
Yankees games.
yep. And Germ, the
Oh
whole crew,
yeah.
Jared, all those guys, you guys were all
You're
against
the
me.
odd man out, man.
You know it. You know it.
But I appreciate you, Mateo. This
Hey,
was,
absolutely.
awesome conversation, catching up a little bit. But
Absolutely.
hey, we need to make something happen soon. I might need to
Yes,
come
sir.
down to Buffalo and hang out with the boys for a little
You know it,
bit.
man. You know it. Always here.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate you again,
You got
and
it.
we'll talk soon.
You know it.